are not your mind. You are not your mind. Yes, in the ultimate analysis, that which you are, fundamentally, the mind also is. But sometimes you have to speak a message that meets people where you, where we, where you, where I, where we're at. Meet people where they're at. And because we've become so identified with the mind, with our thoughts, ruminations, it can be a very useful, helpful countermeasure to be reminded. You could say that you are not your mind. You could say you are not exclusively your mind. You are not predominantly your mind. In a well-ordered universe, in a well-ordered consciousness, these sort of practical aspects of this function of consciousness that we call mind occupies a very small bandwidth. Most things, most of the time, most of experience does not actually require that much discursive or cognitive, what's a good word for it? Yeah, I guess we'll say mental or cognitive capacity. Life actually runs quite smoothly without too much mentalization, without thought. Yes, for basic, very basic tasks. But you'll notice that the mind always wants to claim more territory for itself than it actually merits, than it actually deserves, than it actually needs. We have this capacity within us to problem solve, to reason, to to use the mind. But there are so many levels to our consciousness, to our intelligence, I just wrote in a Facebook group that I'm a part of for OCD. I said that you are not your OCD. And that's the same message. These are patterns of energy, ultimately, that have been given a certain prominence through identification with them, that they don't merit, they don't deserve. You don't owe anything to your obsessive thinking. You don't owe anything to the ruminations. You don't owe OCD. You don't owe your mind anything. You really don't. You don't owe it anything. You can turn around and you can look right at it. Here's this anxiety, here's this obsessive thought loop. I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna look right straight into who you are. I'm gonna inquire into the nature of this thought pattern. In experience, as a phenomena occurring in consciousness. I'm going to ask, who are you? And not just as a verbal exercise, but with attention. I'm going to go directly into that thought or the images in your mind. Who or what are you actually? When I look into it, I go into that experience. Got an image in my mind. Let me zoom in on that. I've got a thought in my mind. Let me zoom in on that. What actually is that in experience? And you might find that at a close enough magnification, close enough contact with your awareness, it becomes sort of almost just like pixels, light, just kind of a play of consciousness, of light. And is there any separation between the awareness and this thought, this image? Where does one end and the other begin? Is there a boundary there? What is the texture of a thought? What is the texture of an image? And you might find, it might be surprising to find, that its texture, that its form, that its substance is actually consciousness, emptiness, that it doesn't have it doesn't have a solid form. Anyways, it's an experiment to run. This anxiety that I'm feeling, can I fall back into it? Can I experience it directly? Who am I that recognizes this thought? I'm having a thought. Who is the I? Who or what is the I in experience? First person singular I. What does that correspond to? Is it the body? Where exactly in the body is that I? Can you go there experientially? If I somehow, freak accident, lose a finger. Do I still exist? So the I was not in the finger, right? Was that, does the sense of I, the sense of awareness, the sense that I exist, does that disappear with the finger? Is there a particular molecule that I can pinpoint that is I? Not as a verbal exercise, just in direct experience. Where is that? And if I find something apparently solid that I can say is the I, investigate that. If there's a felt sense, zoom in on that felt sense. And you can do this with any feeling, any felt sense anywhere in your experience. And you zoom in on that when you get close, when you touch it with awareness, when you penetrate into it with awareness. What do you find? Do you find something solid there? Or is there a kind of pixelated, shimmering, energetic hum, buzz, frequency? How many awarenesses are there? Is there more than one awareness? If so, where are the boundaries between one and the other in experience? And if I can find boundaries to something, then does that then imply that that exists within a larger context? So what is that context? Is there anything outside of awareness, outside of consciousness? That's really the big inquiry, I think. That's the one that breaks it wide open. Have I ever experienced anything outside of awareness? Could I ever experience anything outside of awareness? And that can just open up this panoramic view of how vast, whatever it is that we're calling awareness, consciousness, openness, formlessness, whatever that is, it just opens up this panoramic view, how it contains everything. And yet itself is perpetually beyond, 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 beyond.